sense, it's probably one of the biggest perils that the planet has ever faced, and that civilization as we know it has ever faced.
This sounds like a job for a global warrior. I can handle it.
Excuse me, are you sure that humans are causing climate change?
I think serious scientists now don't question that anymore. The debate is basically over.
So it's false to say that global warming isn't a problem. It's false to say that we don't know what causes it. There is a remarkable scientific consensus on that.
I think there's much less debate now about the fact that people are having an impact on climate. And so once we get beyond the question of whether we are having an impact and settle that, and essentially in the scientific community that has been settled, then people can stop worrying about whether we're having an impact and start concentrating on how to reduce that impact.
All this over 2 or 3 degrees? That sounds pretty good to me. How bad can it get?
What's really important to people is what's going to happen where you live. And if you talk about warming up the globe by 2 or 3 degrees centigrade, normally the regional changes will be much bigger than that. If we continue to do nothing, wait around another 20 years before we bring emissions under control, or even 50 years, we're in deep trouble. Reason being that after we've stabilized emissions, the oceans have to catch up. They'll warm for at least another 50 years after we've stabilized CO2 emissions. So now you've got 100 years worth of warming ahead of us as I sit and speak to you today. And that is going to change a lot of things on this planet.
There are 2 main causes for sea level to increase in a warming world. One is simple thermal expansion. Water, like lots of other things, takes up more space when it's warmer. So a given volume of water will take up more space in a warmer world than it does today in a cooler world. The other thing that's happening is that the amount of liquid water in the ocean is increasing as the planet warms, and that occurs because ice on land melts. We see that happening globally now. The major glaciers in all the parts of the world, very few exceptions, are being reduced by the increasing heat.
And that's not all. If we do nothing to stop global warming, we can expect more floods and droughts, stronger and more frequent hurricanes, heat waves, fires, and more widespread diseases.
Let's just let Global Warrior take care of it. I don't want to do it.
I'm afraid this problem is even too big for me to handle. I'm going to need your help on this one. It's already happening.
Virtually everywhere you look in the climate system, whether it be the animals or chemistry or temperature or ice or whatever, we see evidence of global warming.
The effects of global warming have already been seen in terms of the movements of animals further northward. But there are places where organisms have nowhere else to go. For example, in the polar regions, there are no colder places to which these organisms can move. Similarly, the Indian Ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, the Mediterranean, all of those bodies of water have land to their north, and so organisms there can't move northward in response to climate change. I think the threats are both in the very coldest part of the globe and also in the very warmest part of the globe. Many of the important organisms in the tropics, like corals, can't tolerate temperatures much warmer than the temperatures we have today. And so as a consequence, if it gets just a few degrees warmer, the corals slowly starve to death and die. In fact, we're seeing that right now during a major warming event. In the polar regions, warming is likely to entirely eliminate the ice-dependent communities that are found there as global warming continues to make the polar ice caps smaller and smaller.
This just in. There is hope for our planet, after all.
Taking serious action right now will certainly lessen the effect for future generations. Essentially, if you're under 50 now, 50 or under, you're going to see things that you don't want to see in the future. That can still be changed, not avoided completely, but it can be changed.
I think too often people are tempted to say, well, global warming is real, climate change is happening, it's going to be bad, we caused it, and there's nothing that can be done about it. It's not true that nothing can be done about it. We do indeed know a great deal of what has to be done, and some of it is immediately beneficial. Energy conservation and energy efficiency save money, for example.
Every day, the average person burns enough fossil fuel to deposit 24 pounds of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So clearly anything that individuals can do to reduce that amount of carbon dioxide emissions is a good thing. And there's a lot that people can do individually. You can be much more conscious of the extent to which you're wasting energy and reduce that wastage. You can turn lights off, you can put on a sweater when it's cold instead of turning on the furnace. You can drive a low gasoline usage vehicle, or better yet, walk or ride your bicycle. You can also talk to your friends and neighbors about the importance of climate change and what they can do.
This is a problem people need to care about. It very much affects the quality of the planet that we're going to leave to our children.